Michelle here with not an update video. This video that I'm creating is a video for resources that we can use and share. So I want to get your opinions too down in the comments on resources for super beginner and beginner level input other than our Dreaming Spanish videos that we watch. So I just want this to be a video that we can always come back to, or if we know someone else who is along the journey, it's like, hey, go ahead and check out this video. And then you can see a list of other resources within this video that we can take a look at, because, you know, some resources are not for everybody, but it's good to have various ideas to kind of find and pinpoint, you know, what works best for you or for me. So the first thing that I want to start with that I found very valuable outside of Dreaming Spanish was Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig, it took me a while to get there. And one of the reasons I'll say that happened was because I was starting out at the super beginner level. I'm just starting to get my hours, and I'm thinking I can watch any animated show out there on Netflix or PBS, whatever it was. And what I learned was that some of these animated shows, what I would call cartoons, they actually were a higher level than the super beginner level that I was at. So I do appreciate that I was actually able to listen to those things, because it also reminded me when I in my journey, it's okay. I was literally trying to run before I could even crawl. And so Peppa Pig I found was very helpful in terms that the stories to me are simple, they're clear. I found it entertaining as well. And so I watched a lot of Peppa Pig, and it was okay. I was like, okay, this is where I'm at. And I think that's a big step, is for me having to say this is where I'm at, because I can watch something that's ahead of the level that I'm at, but what am I really gaining from that for me? Like I said, everyone has their own experiences and are different. But for me, I really wanted to be able to watch something that I could comprehend majority of what I was learning, or starting at a level that was very similar to the super beginner and beginner levels. So that's one resource that I do recommend. Another one is the Cuentame podcast. And what I love about the Cuentame podcast, especially when I was first starting out with my journey in getting the hours in comprehensible input, is that the podcast is short stories. So I don't think there's a podcast episode that is longer than 10 minutes, because the person who narrates a story, she speaks a story in Spanish, and then for a few words, she'll give the translations to certain words in English. And then she'll repeat the story again, and then you get everything's in Spanish. So I really appreciated that, because for me at that point, I didn't need 25 minute long podcasts, because my attention span for those long podcasts was not happening in putting it together in that 25 minute period of time. So those short stories were really helpful. It also built my confidence, because it's I'm learning, I'm understanding these short stories as well. Another resource that someone just recently told me about as well is Crea Tu Frecuencia. And this is a YouTube channel, and it's affirmations. So I like to sometimes have things in the background, and I found this really helpful because it was affirmations in Spanish. It's going slow. It kind of has that mindfulness type music in the background too. So that's definitely another recommendation that I have. And for me, I find that useful when I'm working, because even though if I'm working, I could normally listen to songs in English, because I can pick up on the words while I'm doing something else. But I've also learned that when I've tried to listen to things in the background, I'm not catching everything in Spanish, because my mind is somewhere else, and the language is still, coming in, not as easy as it is where it is for English. Obviously, I've been, in the English language for a very long time. So I find that channel helpful, and then I'll put that channel on as well. The next resource that I really enjoyed is the Extra YouTube series. So it's on YouTube, and I'll link everything down below in the comments as well, or in the description. And so it was silly. It's kind of think of Friends, but the Spanish isn't intermediate. But for me, I found that valuable to start listening to or watching Extra when I got past super beginner, and more so in my beginner phases. And even at the beginner level, I still don't feel like I was comprehending as much. So that's definitely a show that I would want to go back to, and see how much I comprehend of that now, because I have watched that series probably 2 or 3 times now. So that's something that I'll put on my list to do, is go ahead and back and watch extra. But those are just some resources, and I love to hear from you guys as to what other super beginner resources that you have that work for you. Please drop them down below in the comments. And if you find that, hey, you know somebody where this video might be helpful, please share this video with them as well. And Happy New Year. I hope you all are doing well and keep going on your Spanish journey. You're doing great. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.